So Mage has finally arrived on the beta, and it's a welcome sight to be sure. The new archetypes feel really unique, and it definitely adds a lot of variety to arguably the most linear class in the game. Really, it's just great to see. However, no Thanos plate, no Ava pet, I'm going to have to give this patch a 0 out of 10. Joking aside, I do mostly like the Mage changes brought forward in this update. Of course, there is a slight asterisk there, because I got my own gripes with some of the changes, but before that, I'll go into some of the general class changes. Let's get the big one out of the way. You can now teleport directly upwards.
Oh my god!
I know, truly incredible. Okay, yeah, this doesn't seem like the biggest deal, but it's such a nice quality of life change that I'm super glad was implemented. Meteor now has a model and functions quite differently depending on the archetype. Again, a minor but welcome change. And similarly, Ice Snake now uses actual spikes instead of just blocks. Heal, however, was a bit of a disappointing change. Firstly, Heal no longer replenishes your health instantly, but rather regenerates your health quickly over the span of a couple seconds. This isn't a huge deal, and considering how strong Heal is on the live servers, I think this is a completely justified change. My main issue, though, comes with the actual health restored every time you cast Heal. Without any upgrades, Heal only restores 10% of your max health, which is pretty insignificant. Even with max upgrades, almost 17,000 health, and Allayment, I was only able to heal a little over 2,000 health each time, which is just pathetically low compared to live servers. I think keeping the heal delay is fine, but the actual heal rate is too much of a nerf. And with that out of the way, let's go into the far more interesting changes, the new archetypes. Starting off with Riftwalker, which is the mobile stack damage archetype. What is stack damage, you ask? Beats me. The main gimmick of this archetype is the effect called Winded, which basically lets you ramp up your damage to specific enemies as you continue to attack them. This effect is definitely designed around bosses, or at the very least tanky enemies, so this archetype does seem to be a little lacking when it comes to regular combat. Riftwalker also has mobility options through Blink, which gives you a double teleport, and Time Dilation, which lets you buff allies. I'm honestly not sure if Blink is an upgrade or not, it just seems like a needlessly complicated upgrade to the default spell. Time Dilation is a really cool concept, but considering you have to draw your own path similar to MS Paint, it seems a bit impractical for any combat situation. I think this should be changed to be a passive ability with an area of effect. However, overall, Riftwalker is a pretty fun addition to the game, and while it does seem to be the middle child of the other two archetypes, it's by no means a bad archetype and definitely a worthwhile addition. Now going on to the star child of this update, Lightbender. Seriously, every mage I run into seems to be playing Lightbender, and who can blame him? Lightbender is oriented around heals and survivability, so it's definitely the most newbie friendly. But even regardless of its lower skill ceiling, it's just so much fun. I don't know what to say, just look at this. This archetype completely removes the Meteor spell. I know what you're thinking, like, hey, isn't that kind of a big deal? Well, it would be if it didn't replace it with a different spell that's near as powerful. When casting Meteor, you summon up to 6 orbs around yourself that work as essentially companions, which attack enemies rapidly whenever you use a melee attack. Their damage seems surprisingly balanced without it feeling too weak or too strong. As these orbs attack enemies, they lose health, but you can actually heal them, so it keeps an active and fun gameplay loop going. There are some other changes to this archetype, like with Sun Shower, your heal actually damages enemies, which is another cool addition. Lightbender is so much fun and feels really well balanced. Definitely my favorite of the new archetypes, but I really have no suggestions on what to change, just great execution from the content team. And on to the final archetype, and possibly the most powerful, Arcanist. Arcanist is all about spamming a ton of damage at the cost of most everything else. This is the only archetype that doesn't have a heal ability, which, considering you're playing Mage, is a pretty major trade-off. So, is this trade-off worth it? Well, kind of. The way Arcanist works is through a new feature called the Mana Bank. All this basically is a system which lets you store up your mana as you damage enemies with your spells. Heal lets you use the mana in this bank to keep on spamming spells with almost no worries of running out of sustain. What you do need to worry about though is health. Seriously, without the ability to heal, how you build your mage needs to significantly change. High health regen or lifesteal are pretty much a necessity if you want to make this archetype viable. While I do think its damage amount does mostly justify removing heal, I still think they should add a way to get health back. I think you should get a small percentage of your health back when killing enemies, similar to Fallen's Intoxicating Blood. Even with a pretty tanky build with high health regen, I found myself rushing in, spamming spells, and then retreating 10 seconds later to regenerate my health. this gameplay loop, regardless of how intentional it is, isn't super fun, and as such I think it needs a way to get some healing back to sustain itself. Overall though, I think it's a fine archetype idea, but it could definitely be tweaked a bit prior to the release. So yeah, that's the archetypes all summed up. But before I wrap up this video, I did just want to give some of my closing thoughts. Basically, yeah, these are all cool archetypes, and each has its own unique playstyle. However, something that did concern me is, unlike the previous two classes introduced, none of these new archetypes are similar to Mage's base design. I personally find Mage to be a little bit of a boring class, so I don't mind if the Mage's playstyle is changed up, but I do know there are a lot of people out there who love Mage, and I think they should still have the ability to play Mage similarly to how they're doing on the live servers right now. I would guess you could do a bit of a mix and match with all the archetypes to get something similar to 1.20 Mage, but even then, I feel like this update might deter players away from playing their favorite class. I'm not really sure if this problem is even fixable at the moment, but I felt I should bring it up anyways. And, maybe I'm overreacting, but that was just one of the first impressions I got from this patch. Anyways, that's all from me though. Thanks for watching.